Right now, a Madison man has been missing since Friday, what authorities are saying so far. Also, how one Madison man continues to honor his late mother's legacy through his beauty supply store. And we're following as fishing enthusiasts converge on Madison's Alliant Energy Center for the Wisconsin Fishing Expo. We'll bring you there. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. A lot warmer seen across southern Wisconsin. To see how long that'll last, let's get a look at your first warn forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, what should we expect?
Yeah, the warmth is going to likely stick around through at least Wednesday of next week. 40s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. After that, it gets a little bit more dicey, but we'll focus on that here later on in this newscast. In the meantime, we're still above freezing at this hour. Still 40 in La Crosse, 37 for those of us in Prairie du Chien, 36 in Platteville, Monroe, 34 in Madison, 37 in the Dells, and 39 in Camp Douglas, 36 Sauk City, 35 Waunakee, 33 in Deerfield. So we're still doing a little bit of melting at this hour. We're about 10 to almost 20 degrees warmer than the same time Saturday. So we're building upon our heat from yesterday, and that's going to help us get into those 40s tomorrow because we have to not cool off a whole lot overnight to then climb to those warm temperatures this early in the season. We're sitting underneath some light southerly winds underneath mostly cloudy conditions, so that's also going to keep us on the warmer side this evening. Low to mid 30s tonight. We should be right around 18 degrees, so that shows you just how warm we are because, again, we have to climb to those warm temperatures for the start of your next work week. As I mentioned, that warmth could stick around through Wednesday, then it gets a little bit dicey, so we're going to track out a couple chances for some rain-snow mixes in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you in just a bit. And you can stay up to date on the weather with our First Warn Weather Forecast app. It is hourly forecast, road conditions, and the latest radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather. Madison police are searching for a man who was last seen Friday afternoon. Isaiah Morgan Williams, a 26-year-old Madison man, was reported missing from his home on Dwight Drive. He was last seen wearing a thin blue jacket and black pants. Anyone with any information is asked to contact the Dane County Communications Center at 608-255-2345. Again, that is 608-255-2345. A Madison elementary school is closing in on a permanent name. Southside Elementary School, which opened in 2023, is down to just 4 proposals. Those names are Southside Community Elementary, Ada Deer Elementary, Lori Mann Carey Elementary, and Nine Springs Elementary. Residents are encouraged to submit feedback by attending in person or registering to either speak virtually or submit a written statement on Monday. Additional information on registering for a meeting can be found on our website. Republican Congressman Glenn Grothman of Wisconsin got an earful when he held a town hall with voters last Friday. During the town hall, a woman confronted Grothman about Elon Musk and others in government since the Trump administration took over a month ago. The woman said she was particularly upset that Musk and others use derogatory labels for people with disabilities. And another person told Grothman to stand up for the people who elected him. Witnesses say before Grothman arrived for the town hall, people who gathered outside booed him before he had entered the building. And a busy weekend at the Alliant Energy Center with several events. Starting with the Wisconsin Fishing Expo, it brought every fishing product you can think of to Madison. Anglers of all ages were able to check out a vast array of boats, hooks, poles, and more.
We've got everything from youth educational sessions for kids to learning to fly fish to expert kind of almost celebrity muskie anglers and almost everything in between.
Over 375 booths were lined up at the expo. And if you're a lover of dogs, and I'm sure many of you at home watching are, then you're going to enjoy this story. The Renaissance cluster of dog shows returned to the Alliant Energy Center for a weekend of top-winning dogs from across the nation.
Well, there's been a dog show in Madison for about 40 years. There was about a 7 or 8 year hiatus, but we started back up in 2021. Back at the Alliant Energy Center, and we couldn't be happier to be back here.
In 2024 alone, there were 7,600 entries, representing a total of 43 states. Today marks the last week of Black History Month. And News 3 Now is continuing to put a spotlight on Black stories. A Madison man opened up a beauty supply store in the Easttown Mall. Dennis Franklin is using Bab's Beauty Supply Store to bring the community together and honor his late mother's legacy. Our Tanisha Shaw has more.
Now, this is what they're doing in the barber shop. They're hitting you up with the spice ball. So
Dennis Franklin opened Bev's Beauty Supply Store in Easttown Mall in late 2024. It's one of the only Black-owned beauty supply stores here in Madison.
We are here in this community for the community. That's the purpose, one of the main reasons about Beauty Supply.
The store is built around fairness.
But one of the main things that I always remember is that my mom would tell me to treat people fairly. So that's why that was one of the motivations to make sure that the products here at Bev's Beauty Supply is affordable.
And honoring Franklin's late mother, Beverly died from lung cancer in 2020, just 2 years before her son opened Bev's.
I look at these products and it just brings me back to a time, some of these products when I was younger, like the different greases and sulfur-8s and all that type of stuff.
Black people often rely on beauty supply stores for hair products that fit their hair.
African-American people, specifically women, make up 80% of the consumers. However, they are 100% of the disrespect.
Growing up, Franklin didn't see a lot of representation in the beauty supply store industry and said the disrespect was often on their receipts.
You're getting a product and the product is only $2 when you buy it in bulk. For me, I can't justify charging $20 for it. And most beauty supply stores are in neighborhoods that are largely minority. It's an atmosphere of get what you're getting and hurry up and get out of here, or like you may be coming into this business or this store for some type of nefarious reason.
Now, Franklin is determined to intersect local communities with the beauty industry, making a new experience that everyone can enjoy.
Because when you come to Bev's, you're going to see yourself in a room. You're going to come in a place, it's going to be warm, it's going to be welcoming. Like I said before, our prices are going to be great, and you're just going to be in a position where you can support a Black-owned business, and that Black-owned business is going to invest in you and treat you just as well.
Reporting in Madison, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanisha, thank you. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 10, Blaze Keller returns with a complete look of your first run forecast. Plus, confusion and conflicting guidance about an email sent by Elon Musk. And the worst flu season in over a decade, what the numbers show about this respiratory illness.
Now at 10.
Thank you for staying with us. Surging egg prices across the U.S. are starting to hit many bakeries. The egg shortage is tied to the highly pathogenic bird flu virus, which infected flocks across the country last year. Some bakeries say they are now paying more than double the price from a year ago. Other bakeries say they might have to start using so-called egg replacers. Another factor making business tough for bakeries is the sky-high price of cocoa. Pope Francis remained in critical condition Sunday, and blood tests showed early kidney failure. Seth Doan has more.
Pope Francis remains in critical condition tonight, and blood tests are revealing early signs of kidney failure. We've learned that the Pope is also receiving high-flow oxygen through tubes in his nose, and he is continuing to get blood transfusions. Doctors tell us this is not a good sign. On a more encouraging note, the Vatican says he has not had another respiratory crisis since Saturday. That's when we learned he was in more pain than he had been previously. His doctors have underscored he is a fragile patient, and this is not an easy case to treat. I asked one of his doctors how many different drugs he's on, and the answer was a lot. He has chronic underlying lung conditions, but despite all of this, the Holy See press office says he is alert and well-oriented. He even participated in a mass this morning at the hospital at a small chapel there.
U.S. government scientists working on a vital global climate report have been ordered to stop their work. The Trump administration reportedly ordered that they pull back from global climate action and research. This comes as the U.S. has been involved in planning for the next installment of a report from the world's leading scientific authority on climate change. That report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was due to come out in 2029. Tonight, there's confusion and conflicting guidance about an email sent by Elon Musk to more than 2 million federal workers. CBS's Willie James Inman is at the White House with information on that and new firings.
In an ultimatum posted on X, Elon Musk demanded federal employees write down what they accomplished last week, adding failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. The government's Office of Personnel Management said in a statement individual agencies will determine the next steps, with no mention of resignations. This weekend, President Trump urged Elon Musk to get more aggressive to slash spending.
And Elon is doing a great job. We love Elon.
But not every agency is following through on Musk's demand. FBI Director Kash Patel is among those pushing back, saying in an email obtained by CBS News that the Bureau will conduct reviews, adding when and if further information is required, we will coordinate the responses. Trump appointees at several other agencies, including the State Department and Department of Defense, are telling employees to disregard the email. The ultimatum is the latest confusion for federal workers who are already grappling with the Trump administration's aggressive efforts to shrink the workforce.
We're removing all of the unnecessary, incompetent, and corrupt bureaucrats from the federal workforce.
But some Republicans are calling for compassion.
If I could say one thing to Elon Musk, it's like, please put a dose of compassion in this. These are real people. These are real lives.
More job cuts are on the way as the Pentagon moves to fire 5,400 probationary civilian workers this week. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
And NASA officials are working on how employees should respond to the email from the Office of Personnel Management asking them to explain what they did for work last week. Many in the workforce are alarmed since Elon Musk announced that quote, failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Nikki Fox, the head of NASA's Science Mission Directorate, told employees that it was an opportunity to showcase the great work that we do. In a follow-up email, Fox told workers not to submit their response until further guidance from a supervisor. When reached for comment on Sunday, a NASA spokesperson said, "We are anticipating sending some additional guidance to our workforce tomorrow." Several national security agencies include the FBI, and they advised their staffers to do the same. Now let's get a look at your first one forecast. Blaze, what should we expect?
Well, we're going to be ending February on a warm note. We're going to continue to remain at least in the low to mid 40s through Wednesday. And then the second half of next week, we could be warm, but it's really going to be dependent on how two clipper systems, Wednesday, Thursday, and then again Friday, shape up. And we'll talk about all that here in just a moment, really. What we're going to be watching is a quick clipper is going to be scooting across southern parts of Canada. It's staying to our north, so we don't get a real cool down, those northwesterly winds as we go into Tuesday. Maybe slightly cooler by a degree or two, but overall staying in the 40s for your Tuesday. Monday, mostly cloudy to partly sunny conditions. Overnight into early Tuesday, that's when we could see a little bit of rain move through the area, but overall it is going to be light in terms of accumulation. As we go into Tuesday, partly sunny conditions as we gear up for that next clipper, which looks to move through the heart of Wisconsin. And we're going to be watching this system carefully because if it moves further north or further south, it's going to take that moisture with it, not only the moisture it's bringing in from the northwest, but also moisture off of Lake Michigan. This is moving in that path that it will be pulling some moisture out of the open waters of Lake Michigan. And with the warm temperatures, it may be a little bit counterproductive. It may not make sense. Why would we be seeing snow? While the surface is warm, our upper layers of the atmosphere are still cold because we're still in some of those cold months. So that's the reason why we could still see snow even when we climb into those low to mid 40s. And then we turn our attention to Friday. That's when another clipper system looks to move through the Midwest. If we get snow on Wednesday, we'll probably have a better chance for more snow on Friday because we'll have that cooler air mass at the surface. If we don't see snow on Wednesday, we'll likely be a little bit more warmer, trending towards the European model's interpretation of Friday's system. I will say that the GFS has really had this system over parts of Wisconsin over the last several model runs, so it's been consistently there. Same with the European model, but it's further to the north and east. So we're going to continue to watch this system because obviously if this GFS's interpretation plays out, we would likely see a couple inches of that snow versus no snow like the European model has in store for us. So stay with News 3 now. We will keep you updated. But if you look at the European model snow totals by the end of the upcoming work week, we don't really have a lot to deal with. Whereas the GFS, as I mentioned, brings down that real high amounts, especially stretching from Eau Claire all the way south into Milwaukee. Don't necessarily focus on the numbers because those will likely change, but just focus on the fact that the GFS would bring us more snow, obviously, than the European model. And that's going to obviously impact our temperatures. We're going to stay warm Monday and Tuesday, but it does look like if we do get those snow Wednesday, Thursday, and then again on Friday, those temperatures will be slightly cooler because we're going to be dealing with that cooler air mass. We'll probably most likely hang out in those upper 30s versus the low to mid 40s to end next week. So stay with News 3 Now. We'll keep you updated. In the meantime, enjoy the 40s tomorrow. A few low 50s, upper 40s could be possible. I wouldn't really count on that. I would probably count on more the mid to upper 40s. Mid 40s on Tuesday, and then as I just explained, kind of the second half of next week is, no pun intended, still up in the air, but we will of course keep you updated as we go throughout next week.
It's okay to keep puns intended.
Thank you. We like to say, meteorologists, we like to say weather is not an exact science. 2 + 2 = 4, but weather 2 + 2 could equal 100, it could equal 10. That's why we're always looking at the data, and that's why we're always keeping you guys updated.
Gotcha. I can get with that, but yeah, go ahead, tell your jokes.
All right.
If nobody else laughs, I got you, Blaze.
Well, thank you.
All right. See you in a little bit, Blaze. A listeria outbreak linked to frozen supplemental shakes has killed at least 11 people and sickened dozens more. Friday, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration said the products were sold under the brand names Cisco Imperial and Lions Ready Care. They were distributed to places like hospitals and long-term care facilities across 21 states. The FDA says those products have been recalled. The CDC says the outbreak includes cases dating back to 2018. Listeria is the third leading cause of food-borne death illnesses in the U.S. On to the CBS Health Watch. The worst flu season in 15 years has left hundreds of thousands of Americans needing care, putting a strain on doctors' offices and hospitals. CBS's Elise Preston is in Burbank with details.
Severe and even deadly flu cases are surging across the country in what's shaping up to be the worst flu season in 7 years. We're just halfway through flu season, but already 19,000 people have died from influenza. The CDC says more than 430,000 have been hospitalized.
What is driving this difficult season?
Well, there are probably a number of variables that are associated with this. Lower vaccination rates, lower population immunity, and there's the strains that are circulating that are particularly virulent this year.
These factors could be to blame for an alarming number of infections in children. 86 deaths have been reported in patients 17 and younger. Fewer are getting vaccinated this season than last.
We have the tools to be able to prevent further spread and to protect vulnerable populations, and we should definitely use those because that will save lives and keep people out of the hospital.
Remoyne cautions you can still get the flu even if you're vaccinated, but the vaccine will help you in reducing your severity. Elise Preston, CBS News, Burbank, California.
And coming up next in sports, Andrew joins us to talk about the 6-minute stretch that Wisconsin men's basketball will want to forget. Next on News 3 Now.
The final stretch of yesterday's Wisconsin men's basketball game was simply chaos at the Kohl Center. Oregon went on a 16-2 run in the final 6 minutes of regulation, coming back to shock the Wisconsin men in overtime. Going forward, the biggest concern isn't that they lost, it's how it all went down. Blowing a 17-point lead, turning the ball over 17 times, seemingly out of nowhere, is something that will haunt you as a coach. For Greg Gard to get rid of his ghosts, he says he's got to look at himself.
It doesn't sit well with everybody, and because we beat ourselves for the most part, and we haven't done that. I don't know if we've done that all year. Fortunately, this isn't like football where you have to sit 7 days, wait for your next game. We're going to play again on Tuesday night and, get it out of our system and get improve the areas that we need to improve.
The Wisconsin women hosting Northwestern in a big game. The Badgers trying to lock up a Big Ten tournament bid. Just before half on Senior Day, Hallie Douglas goes coast to coast. The senior makes it count. Bucky would take a 1-point lead into the break. And in the third, the star duo got it done. Ronnie Porter drops off the package for Sarah Williams, who always delivers. And the Badgers win it 73-68. The Bucks hosted the Heat at Fiserv tonight, looking for their 4th straight win, trailing by 8 late in the third, and Giannis forces the Heat turnover and turns up the temperature. Great feed from Dame on the alley-oop, and it would give the Bucks a lot of momentum in this one. They'd come all the way back to tie it at 106 in the 4th, and then Dame Lillard pulls up from the logo and lights it up. The Bucks extend the win streak, 120-113 the final. The Women's Big Ten Swimming Championships have concluded, and while the Badgers took 4th place, Phoebe Bacon was cooking with gas. She was named the MVP, or the swimmer of the championships. This comes after winning a trio of events, including the 200-meter backstroke, an event she has sizzled in for years. It's her 4th time winning the event in her 5 years at Wisconsin. And Jalen, I'm sure you've always wondered this. What would you do if Alex Rodriguez won you $10,000? Do you remember A-Rod, the baseball star? So at halftime of the Army-Bucknell basketball game today, A-Rod attempted this half-court shot to win $10,000 for a Bucknell sophomore. And would you look at that? I think you could just tell by the reaction, even if you missed the shot, they made it. That's pretty incredible. My question is, if you had the chance at $10,000, if it was your choice, would you really want A-Rod shooting it for you? Wouldn't you rather do it yourself?
I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest baseball players to ever grace the earth. So, I mean, yeah, why not?
And certainly it paid off for the Bucknell sophomore. That's pretty incredible.
I'm just curious, what is A-Rod doing at Bucknell? Like,
It's a
what's
good
the
question.
connection there? I'm assuming he didn't go there.
Yeah, he didn't go to college, but he's a guy that has business ventures all over the place. Yeah. Maybe that took him there, but whatever it was, it paid dividends for that kid. Good for him.
That's pretty awesome. Quick question before we kick it to break. When you're reading the teleprompter, does your brain glitch for a second when you see Oregon and not having to say Oregon?
It does, and to your point, I'm glad you brought that up, because yesterday at the press conference, Greg Gard was talking about Oregon and said Oregon. So anybody from around here, that's going to be a tricky one, and it'll take us some time to get used to it now that we have them in the Big Ten.
For sure. All right, sounds good. Thank you, Andrew. We'll be back with more.
Starting out in the 30s with mostly cloudy conditions, partly sunny to end the day with maybe a chance for rain as we go overnight into early Tuesday. Staying dry for Tuesday before a couple rain, snow chance mixes move in beginning Wednesday.
Sounds good. We'll see you here tomorrow.